Hey everybody, on this edition of Kane and Mike's Movie Night, it's Star Wars: The Last Jedi. Hello everybody, and welcome back to Kane and Mike's Movie Night. I'm Mike.
And I'm cold.
There's also Kana.
I'm sorry, I'm Kana, but I'm cold.
And this is going to be our season premiere for Season 2 of Ken and Mike's Movie Night here on Geek Carolina. Now, fair warning, next week you're going to see what we will call our season premiere probably during the episode, which is going to be us talking about Bright, the Netflix original movie. But we went to go see Star Wars: Last Jedi, and while it's still topical, we're going to go ahead and talk about it. So...
and we will try and stay away from as many spoilers as possible.
But we will fail. So for that
because
reason...
Because I suck! Spoilers!
For that reason, spoiler alert. We're not going to discuss the plot. The internet is there for that. Or you can go see the movie. We're just going to give our thoughts on it. But we're probably going to wind up spoiling parts of the movie if you have not already seen it. So...
if you haven't seen it, pause this, go see it, and then come back and play.
Back. We'll still be here.
Yep.
So, your first impressions of The Last Jedi?
Well, as usual, they give, the normal, in a galaxy far, far away spiel. And every time, I'm like, I know they're going to start the music epically. And I still jump in my seat. Every time. So that's nice consistency. But no, because that's always my first thought. I am not going to jump this time. I am not going to jump. And then I do.
And then she jumps.
And I know it's coming, which makes it worse. No, I thought it was a really good movie. That's my first thoughts.
My first impressions. Disney is gaining loads of credibility with me, oddly enough. In my opinion, there has yet to be a truly bad Marvel Cinematic movie, a truly bad MCU movie. There are some that are better than others. She's looking at me because of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, which I maintain is not a bad movie.
It sucks.
It's just not the most enjoyable. It's certainly not better than the first one. I should phrase it that way.
No, that's where Thor Ragnarok picks up, because it was a better movie.
And then as far as... Star Wars is concerned, as far as I care right now, they're 3 for 3. Force Awakens was good, Rogue One was good, and this one is good. So, I would say it's a Star Wars movie, and it was fun. So, let's talk about some stuff that we liked. We'll save the dislikes for the end, because we may actually have to try to struggle to think of some. But, one or two things that you really liked about Last Jedi.
I love that Luke is a freaking smart-ass badass. That, because he was not a smart-ass in Return of the Jedi. Let's be honest. I mean, he was 1980s badass, though I still think he was a bit of a whiny baby.
Yeah.
He was still whiny. Especially, talking about his sister and probably having flashbacks to the first movie. Anyways,
where they had not yet figured out, I don't think, that they were
related.
Sure.
Yeah. Anywho's, so it was a nice change of pace because, he was a smartass, and I appreciated that. That was something that I could so get. You said cynical. No, it was smartass. There was some cynicism, which was a little sad. It's kind of like comparing my realism to your optimism. But there is a balance, I think.
Mm-hmm.
What are those little birds creature thingies?
I have no idea.
I need one. I need one. I love it. And, okay, this is not really a spoiler, but one of them is going to hit the window and kind of look like one of those, like Garfield cats. The the kind of cats. I need one for my car. Sorry, Morgan. She's like, not me.
I really liked Luke in this movie, and I like the way they treated him myself. To me, Luke Skywalker was a badass by the time Return of the Jedi came around. He made a journey. And that journey was from smart-ass little farm boy.
He wasn't a smart-ass. He was
whiny-ass little farm boy.
There we go.
To would-be hero that doesn't know what he's doing yet and still whines a good bit. To, by the time the last movie comes around, he is pretty much kick-ass take names type guy in a lot of ways. He is the badass full-fledged Jedi Knight that walks...
Who still whines.
Who walks straight into Jabba's palace and says, you're going to do this, this, and this, or I'm going to kill you. And then he proceeds to do exactly what he says.
And then whine about a little bit.
Like I said, I don't think he's a whiner by the time the last movie hits. Now, in this movie, I think this movie actually brings Luke Skywalker's story full circle. You kind of get that vibe that his hero's journey is over by the end of Return of the Jedi. And it is. But this is the full circle of his journey where we see him go from the whiny kid all the way to being the Jedi Master. And there's even... Spoilers, remember we said that. There's even a point in this movie where we see the holographic video from A New Hope where it's young Princess Leia's programmed message into R2, Obi-Wan Kenobi, you're our only hope. And that is the message that springs Luke into action during this movie, where he finally is convinced, okay, I cannot be on the sidelines any longer. And it's a wonderful replay because this is how Obi-Wan got involved after going into seclusion. This is now how Luke gets involved after going into seclusion. It's the same message. And he is a smartass in this movie, and he is cynical because the two are not mutually exclusive. But I really like the way they handled Luke in this movie overall. And we do get to have Luke have his climactic moments of badass.
His fight
in this movie, yeah, it's
and he's damn flexible for someone that old.
Yeah, there were wires.
I know, but still, there were wires, but there still has to be some flexibility, even when using wires.
I don't think it was actually him. I think it was.
I'm gonna hope it was.
I
damn.
think it was ILM working their usual magic.
Do not take away that
that little bit of hope. Anything else that you enjoyed about the movie?
Chewbacca was not in this film a lot.
He wasn't, but realistically, I think his story, as strange as to say, I think his story is over.
I know, but I love Chewbacca.
After
R2-D2 made just a hair, and I was kind of like, but I love R2-D2. BB-8 is a badass, more so than R2-D2 was, because I always thought R2-D2 was a badass robot, just for the fact of, he mouthed off, no matter who he was talking to.
Right.
He went out there, he did what he had to do to make sure, and BB-8 was like, I'm gonna top this.
Yeah.
I appreciated that.
I love BB-8 in this movie. The long story short is there's not a character in the movie I disliked.
Oh, no, I have a character I dislike.
Well, sit on that for a minute, because we'll get to the dislikes in a minute. But the other thing I will say about the movie that I thought was very nice, very much I enjoyed, is here's the thing about the Star Wars trilogies, as this is the third Star Wars trilogy. They mirror each other, and they are written on a very simple 3-act structure. You set up the story, you create the stakes, you finish the story. 1, 2, 3. It's never changed since the days of the first plays. this is the setting the stakes and putting our heroes in peril movie. It is the Empire Strikes Back of this trilogy. It is the Attack of the Clones of this trilogy. And if you look at each trilogy, they are in many ways telling the exact same story, just variations on the themes. And what I enjoyed in this one is we do get the sort of the replay of part of the climax of Empire Strikes Back, where Vader, tries to lure Luke into ruling by his side. We get that moment again after a fashion here. Mm-hmm. But the idea of Ben Solo / Kylo Ren being able to be redeemed is a huge part of this movie. And I really, really dig that. A lot of people hated Kylo Ren in the first movie because he's the whiny bastard. But you know what?
Luke was a whiny bastard too, and we still loved him.
Too.
Well, some of us did.
Luke's journey started from whiny bastard to badass hero by the end of it, and Vader, his counterpart, is a badass throughout. Here, thus far, Rey has been the badass throughout as our heroine, but Kylo Ren is the whiny smartass. So I think there's just a role reversal there where our big bad is going to be
our big hero at the end?
No, I think he'll be the overwhelming villain in the last movie, but the journey, that's part of the journey. I'm 95% certain he'll get redeemed at the end of the last movie.
I think he has to. Vader got redeemed at the last, and if we're doing a mirror, which it kind of feels like.
Yeah. Then somehow he gets redeemed as well, one would think.
Foreshadowing. Oh,
yes.
Yoda. You enjoy...
Oh, yes. And I really did like Yoda's appearance in the movie. Yoda is not in any of the trailers at all, or any of the marketing material that I've seen. So Yoda's appearance in the movie is very much a surprise.
Unless you read spoilers.
For the vast, vast, vast majority of Yoda's appearance in this movie, he is a practical puppet. Puppeteered by Frank Oz, voiced by Frank Oz, and I really liked that. And he is the Yoda of the 4, 5, and 6 trilogy, where he is the smart-ass troll who just wants to screw with Luke Skywalker.
And boy, does he fuck with Luke.
Very good, baby. That's your first.
I know. I made it like through almost half this.
So, yeah, it's very much that version of Yoda, which I enjoy. I like the foreshadowing in this movie. Pay attention to detail, because it will pay off in this movie if you do.
I didn't, and I'm totally okay with it.
Oh no, even if you don't, it's still fun. But if you pay attention to detail, there's a moment in the movie, which I will not spoil, where there is an equipment gag on screen that I legitimately thought was a continuity error until they actually, brought that piece of equipment up again in the same scene. And then I was like, oh no, you guys are doing this on purpose. Okay, I get it. So, yeah, it's really fun that way. What did you not care for?
Hawk. That pasty ginger could not be any more whiny. I mean, he has nothing on Kylo Ren. I mean, he has to be the whiniest little ginger ever. And that sourpuss face.
Yes, General Hux.
Hux, there we go. Yeah, I could not stand him. I was waiting for him to die. I was hoping Kylo Ren was going to kill him. And he didn't. I'm insulted. I feel like I'm being punished.
Give it time. We got 2 years. It can still happen. Yeah, I didn't care for General Hux in a lot of ways.
He wasn't like what. Let's be honest. With the original trilogy, we had very strong, not whiny commanders and generals and for the Empire. Where the fuck are they getting these whiners?
In this instance, all of the Imperial officers and whatnot in the original trilogy are very strong
and competent,
strong, mostly competent. But I was going to say they're very strong British villains, and
because the best villains are.
And in here, they are not. They are British,
but they're not the best.
Strong British villains. This movie begs for a Tom Hiddleston to walk in and be the badass general on set.
Yes! Oh my gosh.
Or Michael Fassbender or somebody.
I mean, hell, I think that even Chris Hemsworth could play a decent villain in this and upstage all of them.
But no, the movie, though, it's the villain's side in this is... Here's my dislike about the villain side, and I am going to spoil something. This is a major spoiler to the movie. The First Order, the Imperials, whatever term you want to use them in this, the biggest letdown to me is Supreme Leader Snoke, or Snoke, or Snoke, or however the hell you say it.
Snook, and it sounds like a cookie. Which sounds really good right now.
The Supreme Leader, who is essentially our stand-in for the Emperor type character, it just struck me as... in this movie, he is the paper tiger, and it didn't matter kind of thing.
Which is why they ended his reign.
Yeah.
There you go. Spoilers.
He's not threatening in any way to me. He does not feel like he is a credible major villain, because in the original Star Wars trilogy, and you're going to make comparisons all the time, but in the original trilogy, the reason that the Emperor is such a incredible threat is because Vader, we see from the beginning of the first movie, he is not somebody you screw with. He is not afraid of anything or anyone. He walks in, lightsabers people to death, and moves on with life. Or force choke or what have you.
Yes, there we go.
But the one person he's scared of is the Emperor, and we figure that out before we ever see the Emperor or before he ever does anything. So when the one character you see that is nigh unstoppable
who's a
badass, is afraid of someone, whoever he's afraid of gets instant credibility. That's storytelling. Kylo Ren is not a badass. He's whiny. He wants to go to Tashi Station 2 and pick up some power converters, just like his Uncle Luke. And the problem here is that when you have that character and you have someone that he's afraid of, it doesn't lend credibility to the big bad. So in many ways, they really did kind of give away, if you pay a whole lot of attention to it, that Snoke can't possibly be the big threatening bad guy, because he doesn't have the credibility to do so. I do think this movie gave Kylo Ren the credibility to be the big bad guy, because he is a person that is so potentially dangerous that even Luke Skywalker, the hero of the rebellion, the last Jedi Master, considered killing the kid in his sleep in order to keep him from being able to turn and keep the darkness locked away. So I think they built the credibility for Kylo pretty good. Not so much Snook, and that's a lot of wasted potential. I think they left a lot of money on the table, metaphorically speaking, with that character.
Yeah.
Anything else you didn't care for?
How
was the soundtrack? I mean, that's your thing.
It's Star Wars. It's the exact same soundtrack. I mean, hell, they use Vader's theme. They use the Tatooine theme. I mean, it's traditional Star Wars. I mean, there's nothing that is not epic about Star Wars music. I mean, let's be honest.
Pretty much just John Williams rearranged.
Yeah, and just like they've done for every movie since the first one.
I did think I would call that a minor knock, though, because it felt like here's one of the very few things about the prequel trilogy I will give them a leg up on. They didn't recycle as many themes in the prequel trilogy, it felt like, as they did here.
But they actually did. So, they just changed them, whether it was in minor or major. And actually, Darth Vader's theme is actually in the prequel trilogy.
Oh, sure, it is.
In a different chord order. So,
But-
no, they recycled.
Okay,
They just
so-
recycled it differently.
So, when I say theme, I'm meaning a song. Like, this is so-and-so's theme, this is so-and-so's theme, this is so-and-so's theme. When she says theme, she's a music major. She's referring to the music itself kind of thing.
Sorry.
But there is... First, there's like Duel of the Fates in the first trilogy, which is the only one I know the name of, or in the prequel trilogy. And there are a couple of others. Yes, some are variations, but there's more original music. To me, I think the only original theme out of between the two movies that I can think of off the top of my head is essentially the Force Awakens theme, the original piece from the first movie, which they recycle here.
Right. But they're going to recycle it through the entire trilogy of this because
it's sort of this trilogy's theme.
Right.
I'm trying to think if there's anything else I did not particularly care for.
I did not particularly care on who they offed in this movie and who they left alive.
Somewhat.
And I'm trying to be vague, sorry, because it kind of...
I somewhat agree. The new character investment was placed in two characters. There is a character named Rose, who they do give a backstory to, who does get focus. I think she's a welcome addition to the cast.
And she's still alive at the end of the movie.
Yes, she
which
is.
I do appreciate that only 2 out of the 4 lead hero characters are white. The rest of them are of other ethnicities. Rose is of Asian descent.
Yes.
Finn is black.
Right.
Poe looks Italian, so he's a little bit darker, but he could actually be Middle Eastern. And then there's Rey, who's British. So,
right.
You know.
I think they set the stage nicely for another movie. I think they did what they needed to do, which was... I'm going to go into my final thoughts. I think they did what they needed to do in order to make the last movie of the trilogy something special. We'll find out in a couple of years. All the pieces are there. It is a rebellion once again in everything at this point, pretty much including name. There's even a line that Finn has at one point where he is called scum, and he looks down at the person that calls him this defiantly and says rebel scum. Corrects them that he is a rebel, not simply scum. But there's some laughs, which I think all the Star Wars movies should have, and the good ones do. Mm-hmm. It doesn't take itself too seriously when it needs some levity. It takes itself deathly seriously when it needs you to realize that something's at stake. So the pacing, I think, is done well. That's a complaint I've seen where people think that it's a movie that's too long. I know that the casino scene in the movie gets a lot of flack from what I've read.
It wasn't that bad.
And I disagree because not that it's not too bad. I disagree with the opinion that it's garbage because that's what establishes Rose. The casino is her backstory. That's where we find it out. So, all in all, I really enjoyed it, and not simply because we were in a theater and we're not allowed, but cell phone down. I liked it.
I'll be honest.
Cell phone off. I turned mine off.
We'll be honest, we watched people walk out of the movie theater before it was even halfway through.
We did.
So I'm going to change how I vote. Mm-hmm. It was a stay in your seat and watch it till the end movie.
Which for our rating system, we will equate to cell phone down.
Yeah, cell phone down. Because no, it was a good movie. I enjoyed it. I've been having problems staying awake during the day, and I was able to actually make it through the entire film without falling asleep, which I have not done that
in a
while. And so you'll actually find out about that later in the season when we review another movie where we had to rewatch like the last half because I fell asleep during it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that'll come later. But, and not because the movie was bad, just because she takes naps.
Naps are fantastic.
So, folks, there you have it. We're pretty much in agreement. This one gets, from us, 2 cell phones down, which is good on our rating scale. If you didn't see any of Season 1, number 1, go check the playlist. It's there. But there's a playlist that says Ken and Mike's Movie Night Season 1. Go watch it. But for this one, most definitely good fun movie. 2 cell phones down is good. This is like the 2 thumbs up kind of deal. If your cell phone's up, you're doing something, you're not watching the movie. So, a lot of fun. Go see it. If you can see it in theaters, go see it in theaters. The Star Wars movies to this day are one of the very rare instances where I think you cannot substitute the actual theater experience. You cannot replicate it. If it's a Star Wars movie, see it in theaters if you can, if you're into Star Wars. So
I don't know. We can knock down a whole wall and do it.
But I think that requires permits. So, folks,
Paperwork.
So, folks, until next time, thank you so much for joining us this week on the season premiere of Kana and Mike's Movie Night. You can visit us on Twitter and on Periscope and on Instagram. And in all of those places, we are now at Geek Carolina. So go check that out. If you want to help support us here on the show or any of the other great shows on the channel, go to cafepress.com/Geek Carolina, and you can pick yourself up some cool merchandise, including the Kana and Mike's Movie Night t-shirts, which are available now.
What do our shirts look like?
It's our logo.
Oh, we need a fun one.
So at some point, I think we will come up with the the Kana's drinking game t-shirt.
Oh, okay.
So maybe we'll do that. But we don't have any other t-shirts except our logo shirt. The other shows have multiple t-shirts because there's funny stuff on them. And
are you saying that we're not funny?
no, I'm not.
That's what it sounds like.
I'm just saying we haven't said anything on the show that I can think of that's just boom buzzworthy t-shirt material yet. Except for your continuous F-bombs. But I'm not sure we can put that on a t-shirt on Cafe Press.
I know how! Anyways, until next time.
Until next time, folks, I'm Mike.
And I'm Kana.
And we'll see you next week